Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Lee Saunders, for your kind introduction, for your service as an International Vice President of AFSCME, and for your leadership for home care workers. I want to also thank Mr. Moore, our leader from California, Doug Moore. Is anybody here from California? Anybody from the San Francisco Bay Area? There we go. Thank you, Doug. Thank you all. It is indeed a personal, political, and official pleasure for me to be here today. It is personal because that's the way it is for all of us with President Jerry McEntee. It is personal because I'm here with my daughter Christine, and she and her daughter Bella are regulars at AFSCME meetings. It is personal for our family because we have loved Jerry McEntee and Barbara for a long, long time. And so I have the official honor of bringing greetings from Jerry's many friends and admirers in the Congress of the United States to say thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership, for who you are, for your fighting spirit, for saying union yes, for bringing us all together. Your many friends there have paid tribute to you in the months leading up to this convention. Our gratitude will be eternal. Thank you, Mr. President, on behalf of the Congress of the United States. It is a political privilege for me to be here because when I am right now this June, as a matter of fact, observing my 25th anniversary as a member of the House of Representatives from California. But way back then, 25 years ago, when I was running, not everybody thought I could win. But AFSCME did and was one of the first unions to endorse me. I'll never forget that. Thank you, AFSCME. Thank you, Jerry McEntee. And an official, again, privilege for all of the work that President McEntee has taken the lead on. For more than 3 decades, AFSCME has stood tall behind the visionary leadership of its outstanding President Jerry McEntee. As America's family celebrated Father's Day this weekend, I think of my own early on connection with Jerry McEntee, and extends from experiences from our own fathers. His in Philadelphia. Anybody here from Pennsylvania? Mine in Baltimore, Maryland. Any Marylanders here? For Jerry, his childhood memories that he has shared with us feature his father, a garbage truck driver, a union steward, and a vice president of AFSCME, making calls and taking calls, listening to grievances, and solving problems for workers. For me, I had a similar memory of my own father, who was the mayor of Baltimore at the time. From when I was in first grade, he was mayor, till I went away to college, he was still mayor, building community coalitions and working with organized labor to help achieve economic opportunity and social justice across the city. But again, as with Jerry's father and with my father, it was all personal, what it meant to individual workers. Inspired by our father's commitment to public service and to choose to continue in that same tradition, striving to help people mobilize and overcome challenges, succeed, and secure their fair shot at the American dream. That's what Jerry McEntee has been all about. From his father's example through today, Jerry has been and always will remain a giant of the labor movement. A giant of the labor movement. He has pushed America to live up to its promise to protect the rights of all Americans to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't that what belonging to a union is all about? He is a public servant and a patriot to his core. As a veteran in the U.S. Army, thank you, Jerry McEntee, and as a legendary leader for organized labor. a tireless leader, improving the lives of working families. He knows that the fight that workers in Wisconsin, Ohio, and California is the fight of workers everywhere, and that when the rights of some are threatened, the rights of all are at stake. He's taught us that. And getting his start, organizing 75,000 public servants in Pennsylvania in 1958 to leading the charge for the Family and Medical Leave Act in the 1990s, Jerry has fought in the trenches for working families. Wasn't it beautiful to hear the tributes from Lillian and from Rick Blumenthal and from Gwendolyn from Hawaii? What could be more meaningful to a leader than the voices of his or her own members singing his praises in such a beautiful way? And we found out that Rick would not be as happy today as he is without Jerry McEntee's intervention. And back to the official scene. In 2005, Jerry played a critical role in our successful effort to protect Social Security from the Republican effort to privatize it. And I thank you all for that as well. Jerry and AFSCME organized more than 1,000 town hall meetings across the country to ensure that Americans nationwide could speak up to preserve Social Security. With those efforts, he prevented Republican leaders from turning a guaranteed benefit into a guaranteed gamble. And today, America's seniors are better off and America's families are better off. Thank you, Jerry McEntee. Later that same year, with Lee Saunders, Jerry conceived the first ever AFSCME congressional candidate boot camps to train and raise up a new generation of legislative leaders who share the goals of organized labor and who recognize that strong unions are central to the fabric of a strong economy. As a result, America's workers and America's working families have an army of allies in the House of Representatives for the American people. Thank you, Jerry McEntee. And after helping Democrats secure the majorities in Congress and helping elect President Barack Obama, aren't we proud of our president? Electing Barack Obama, I'll go on now, and passing Health Care for America Now. That Health Care for America Now was the drive that helped us pass the Affordable Care Act. Together, we made health care a right for all, not a privilege for the few. And I just want to thank all of you for the role that each and every one of you played. Many of you know that it was a very tough struggle. Jerry was on the scene every single day, whether it was trying to help us maneuver internally or mobilize on the outside across the country, and that's what it took. So here's what I want to thank you for, and some of you have received this thank you from me when you've come to Washington for your legislative conference. When we were doing the health care bill, some people thought it wasn't going to be possible, including many members of the press. And they came to me and they said, you know, you seem to think, and you're very confident that you're going to pass this bill. How do you think you're going to do it? I said, well, we're going to go up to the gate and push open the gate. And if the gate doesn't open, we're going to climb the fence. And if the fence is too high, we're going to pole vault in. And if that doesn't work, we're going to parachute in. But we're not letting any fence stand in the way of our passing health care for all Americans as a right, not a privilege. So I'm here to say to all of you, when the press then later said, well, which did you do? Which did you do? I said, actually, we pushed open the fence. We were able to push open the fence because you helped us, AFSCME, have enough members of Congress who were there to create a majority for health care for all Americans. And not only that, you were there with us pushing open that gate for progress for America's families. And Jerry McEntee was the critical leader in mobilizing workers and families to do just that. And not only that, to create good-paying jobs, strengthen our great middle class, and build a brighter future for all Americans. As President Bill Clinton once wrote, Jerry is effective, fiercely loyal, and a man who didn't mind a tough fight. And today we salute him for his lifetime of fierce loyalty, for a career spent winning tough fights for progress for working Americans. In his letter announcing his intention to step down, which you all saw, Jerry wrote, "We have made our union a driving force for economic and social justice throughout the nation. When we pull together and are united in a fight, nobody can defeat us. When we fight, we win, and when we win, the lives of working people in this country improve." Thank you, Jerry McEntee, for improving the lives of working people, uniting a movement, fighting and winning. These are the values of Jerry McEntee. These are the cornerstones of his 3 decades of leadership as president. Thank you, Barbara, for sharing Jerry with us. Barbara McEntee, aren't we proud of her as well? Now I want to say something more about all of you. With leaders past and present and future, these principles of working a dedication to a nation founded on fairness, opportunity, and prosperity for workers, middle-class families, and all Americans, AFSCME is a critical part of that. Because this is Jerry McEntee's legacy. I heard in the earlier speeches and in his speech, this is the foundation. This is AFSCME's promise. It is a record that fits squarely into the best traditions of the extraordinary history of AFSCME. It was 80 years ago that a small group of dedicated public servants came together in Madison, Wisconsin, with a simple goal: to promote. Don't be shy. Came together with a simple goal. I know most of you know this history and can tell it yourselves. I want you to know how much your friends in Congress appreciate this history and respect it. So those folks in Madison, Wisconsin came with a simple goal: to promote, defend, and enhance the civil service system. Yet what started as a matter of local concern in Madison soon transformed into marches and demonstrations across the state and ultimately across the nation. This small group turned into an unstoppable movement. And 75 years ago, the American Federation of State, City, and Municipal Employees was born. In the years since, AFSCME has fought and won battles for collective bargaining rights and civil rights. You fought for equal pay for equal work. You've protected Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid for seniors and families. In recent years, you stood for the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act to create and save millions of jobs. And you helped make history for our country and progress for American people with health care for all Americans, as they write, not a privilege once again. By your action, AFSCME makes America happen. And through it all, AFSCME members and workers have been defined by the theme of this convention: solidarity. As Jerry McEntee wrote to all of you and to the rest of the world, when we pull together and we are united in a fight, nobody can defeat us. Right now, we need that solidarity as never before. We need that unity and that energy to ensure that nobody can defeat our campaign for fairness, for unions, for workers, for the economic security of the American people. We need a new imperative for action across our country. That imperative starts with our promise to reignite the American dream, building ladders of opportunity for anyone who wants to work hard, play by the rules, take responsibility, so that everyone can succeed. We must rebuild the pillars that made our country strong: small businesses, entrepreneurship, and an all-thriving middle class. That is what AFSCME and the labor movement have always done. That's what brings us together today. First, we have an imperative to act to create good-paying jobs for American workers, and Democrats have a plan to do so. Our plan for job creation is as simple as ABC. American-made. A, make it in America to strengthen our manufacturing base, not to be protectionist, but to be self-reliant so that our families can make it in America. B, build America, build the infrastructure of America, our roads, bridges, highways, water systems, rail lines, and broadband lines. C, community recovery, to adopt community-based solutions as we address our common challenges. We must invest in the education of our children, the security of our neighborhoods, the security of our families. We know our communities can only grow stronger with a thriving public sector. And we know that the private sector can only grow stronger with a thriving public sector. For America's workers, our new imperative for action is to create jobs demands a clear and firm pledge. We will protect and preserve collective bargaining rights for American labor. As the great labor leader of the UAW, Walter Reuther, once said, there is a direct relationship between the ballot box and the bread box. And what the union fights for and wins at the negotiating table can be taken away in the legislative halls. He said that a long time ago. Jerry McEntee said it to us at least once a week. In the face of an onslaught of anti-worker initiatives in the legislative halls, we will take the fight to the ballot box across the country because we know that your progress doesn't just benefit union workers, it strengthens all workers. No matter what happens, whether it's a bit of a setback in Wisconsin or a victory for workers in Ohio, we will stand together and stand strong for the fundamental rights of the men and women of organized labor. Second, our imperative for action demands that our budget is always a statement of our national values. Republican values are clear. They don't believe in a public role. And I think this is really important for you to see from our standpoint in Congress. People say to us, why can't you find common ground? Well, we used to, but not lately, because the breed of Republican that is in the Congress of the United States is not your father's GOP. It's the over-the-edge gang, and you can't find common ground because they do not believe in a public role in the American dream, and their budget reflects it. They don't believe in a public role in clean air, clean water, food safety, public education, public health, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. One only look at the most recent public debate to see a clear distinction between the values of our two parties and the two different paths that we are on. It's hard to find common ground. We need only focus on one issue, crucial to all Americans, Medicare. House Republicans proposed and passed a budget that ends the Medicare guarantee while giving massive tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans. Just think of this. In the budget, under the plan of the Republicans, Medicare will wither on the vine. It will disappear as we know it. And as it disappears, this coming year, seniors will pay $6,400 more to get less, while people making over $1 million a year will get a $400,000 tax break. Is that a statement of our national values? No. President Obama and House and congressional Democrats take a different approach. Our pledge is clear. Democrats created Medicare. We have protected Medicare, and we will always keep Medicare strong and secure for future generations. Working with AFSCME, we will protect Social Security and our seniors, as well as Medicaid for our families. We will bolster the private sector by reversing the huge erosion of jobs in the public sector. Just think of it this way. Teachers, firefighters, police officers, public servants in the public sector, whatever area of the public sector, local, state, or national, in any agency of government. They do the job for the American people. And if that's not enough for some, they are consumers who are the lifeblood of our economy. Their success, your success, is America's economic success. They fight, the Republicans fight the public role, and in doing so, they scapegoat the public employees. We will not let that happen. We will advance a critical role of government to spur public-private partnerships, to educate our children, and to strengthen our economy. Our third imperative, and this is an important one too, our third imperative for action is to restore civility to the debate and confidence in public service. As Walter Reuther said, the ballot box and the ballot box is very connected to what happens in the legislative halls. If we're going to change policy, we must change our policies, our politics. We must change our politics. Across the country, our Republicans are working to suffocate elections with unlimited special interest dollars. They're out there, and you see it across the country, to suppress the vote with initiatives to establish barriers of participation to the American people. They're there to poison the debate because they know that confusion is a victory for their side. We've already seen their resolve in Wisconsin with corporations and super PACs outspending Democrats and labor 7-1. 7-1. Here in California, where Republicans and tobacco companies outspend health advocates 4-1 to beat back a tax hike in cigarette taxes. But Democrats will not let this stand. We must take a different path, and I issue this DARE, D-A-R-E. We must dare to fight for clean campaigns. We must fight for a new politics free of special interest money. We must dare disclose, amend the Constitution to overturn Citizens United. We must reform the electoral system to have public financing of campaigns. And we must elect reformers. We must fight to disclosure, to pass the Disclose Act, to get unlimited, secret, special interest money out of politics. I'm Nancy Pelosi, and I approve this ad, is what I have to say. You hear that all the time, but these special interest, anti-government ideologues, they don't have to reveal who they are. And that's why we must amend our Constitution, overturning the crushing Supreme Court decision that strengthened the hands of special interest at the expense of the people's interest. And we must fight for, okay, let's hear it for overturning Citizens United. We must fight for reform to empower the grassroots with a greater role in our elections and with citizen funding of campaigns. And we must elect reform-minded candidates there to represent the grassroots and leaders ready to get the job done. We must fight voter suppression and protect the citizen of every citizen to vote. Our founders founded a democracy where everybody had a voice and a vote, as the Constitution later became amended. A voice and the vote. So our elections must be about the voice and the vote of the many, not the checkbooks of the very, very few billionaires who want to buy the election. They'd like to cancel the elections. They like just to tell us who they want. We must be certain that the votes of the many determine the outcome and not the bankrolls of the few. And let me promise you this. When we reduce the role of money and increase civility in politics, we will elect many more women, minorities, and young people to office. That's what Jerry wants us to do. AFSCME delegates, you are leading the fight to work on our new imperatives for action, for jobs, for civility. It's time to uphold our promise to reignite the American dream and build ladders of opportunity for all. It's time for solidarity, to stand united, to fight and to win, to continue to be a driving force for economic and social justice. Anybody here from Oakland, California? You know that Al Davis, the former owner of the Raiders, I don't know if I should say that in L.A., but his slogan was, "Just win, baby." Are we ready to just win, baby? It's time to put America back on the side of working families and the great middle class, the backbone of our democracy. Together with your leadership, it's long overdue for us to continue in a stronger way to build on the legacy of AFSCME's history and Jerry McEntee's history. Standing strong for workers, standing firm for families, standing tall for an economy of fairness and prosperity for all. As it has been for 75 years, AFSCME will lead the way. AFSCME will make it happen. And thank you, AFSCME, for all of your work, and congratulations on 75 years of activism and success. And I'm very proud to join you to congratulate you, but also to bring House and Senate Democratic friends of Jerry McEntee's congratulations to him for his 3 years of leadership, for your friendship, for your future commitment to a brighter future for workers, the middle class, and the American people. Congratulations to all of you for decades of leadership to make America stronger. Are we ready? Are we ready to just win, baby? Are we ready to give Jerry McEntee one of the greatest send-offs of any labor leader in American history? Thank you, Jerry McEntee. Thank all of you. Have a great convention.